Well, ladies and gents, this battle has come to an end. The French just could not push their way through down the route Oropesa. So they were just about to start the 7 p.m. turn, and it would finish at the end of the 8 p.m. turn. So there would have been 6 more turns, but they would need to get this whole corps off the map there, and there's just not enough time for that. I do think they did very well against stiff resistance from the Brits. They've got guard corps here, but the Brits have just heavily reinforced there. They essentially been bringing units over from here and from here just to bulk this up. They've reinforced here, and now the last British units here are effectively isolated because there's been some heavy cavalry battling going on against Spanish cavalry and British cavalry here, and essentially this well, we've got exhausted cavalry here and here on both sides, but the French have brought up their heavies. They've got some heavies pushing through here and heavies pushing through here. So they're keeping the British cavalry back. So these guys won't be able to run across. They won't be able to run across here as the French cavalry come through here. The Spanish, what's happened to them? Well, there's a few left. There's cavalry back here and then some Spanish infantry units there. And a sort of smattering of leaders and recovering units there. That's all that's left. These are all the Spanish that routed, or just, I think just these three, maybe one or two of these were actually completely surrounded and surrendered. And as you can see, some of them are almost completely decimated down to 1, 2 or 3 increments after after being at strength sort of 6, 7, 8, because some of them are quite big. There's British losses in cavalry, and that's that. You've seen that before, of skirmish companies. Then these are the other British losses. You see they're on morale level 1. They would need 3 more losses to take them to morale level 2, and effectively the French could do that now, because now their cavalry are able to come right the way around here. The Brits would have nowhere to route to if the cavalry were behind them. They were surrounded, so they would just completely crumble. But even with that happening, the French just realised they haven't got enough time to get everyone off. There's still British cavalry here and Spanish cavalry here, so it'd take an hour or so to work their way through them, and then another hour maybe to evaporate all of the British attackers there, and then there just still isn't enough time to get the rest of the corps over. So essentially the French commander's called it off as sees dusk coming on, and he doesn't want to risk fighting into the darkness, and so he's satisfied that he's taken Talavera. That is a victory. He's just forsaken the overwhelming victory, which was a shame for the French. It looked like a close thing. I think maybe if I had pushed them more, because essentially they were going cautiously, not wanting to reach a particular morale level. You see, this is the first corps, that one pushing at the top there. They could actually have taken a lot more beating before reaching morale level of 1. So thinking about it, I should have pushed them harder. But then we do risk them then starting to sort of crumble. As you know, the 4th Corps here slowed down its operations. It's every morale check it takes that -4, so they were losing guys quite quickly, even though they were just fighting the Spanish here. So they had to slow down their operation. They were greatly assisted by the cavalry, essentially. So I'm quite pleased. It's been a very fun game. It's taken a long time to play out, but it was exciting because I played the two sort of introductory scenarios, the attacks on the hills that are one at the night and one sort of early in the morning, that from the French here that's under my time track there, and they were sort of lost causes. And I realised that the British were so strongly defended. I didn't fancy the chance of the first corps against them, so it had to be this attack against the Spanish. And then I was surprised, although the Spanish have very poor morale, they can be brought back, and especially defending in the in general order in the groves and in the city meant that they did have some stickiness with them. So they hung around a lot longer than I expected, and they dealt enough damage to the Fourth Corps to put them on that morale level. So it basically sort of slowed and cautioned the French down. So in effect the day was half saved by the Spanish. Of course the British defended boldly. They were lucky to manage to form a line after streaming all the way across there. They performed a brilliant with the fighting withdrawal, because there wasn't a moment when the cavalry could sort of the cavalry was trying to sweep round this way, but the British cavalry sacrificed a lot of themselves. Those losses you saw holding them back so that their units could get into the groves and the orchard there. So it was an exciting game. It hung on in the balance quite late, because if you remember that they actually took Talavera quite late, and even though they had that, they wanted to push on for the overwhelming victory, but then it looked like the British, with the Spanish sort of holding their flank, it looked like the British had a chance to put them on too much of a morale loss to make it worthwhile, and that's why the French side did not go for the overwhelming victory. So that's the end of that battle. I did enjoy it. I used these are the series, the exclusive rules, but I actually used the Premier rules set to play everything out, and it works really well. It goes quite quickly. I know I kind of brushed through some. I had to rewrite the cavalry rules, and I was making mistakes and sort of as I went and forgetting things, but sort of kept going through with it. But I think that the cavalry rules now work to my liking. I should tinker with them a bit more and post them up to the web somewhere. I've also got the PDF, converted the PDF of the Premier Rules into a Word file, and when I give myself the time, I'm going to go through and edit it. I might have to completely rewrite sections, but to take out the contradictions and expand out upon the unclarities, so that I can have a nice working rule set, because I do think it's a very good rule set. It's just terribly presented, and yeah, no more to say about that. So it's down with this, and I think coming up next I'm going to play a short scenario of Waning Crescent Shattered Cross, which I'm playtesting. It's going to be coming out with Legion War Games. I think it just needs a few more pre-orders. That's a very good game, but it's very hard at the moment. It seems hard for one side to win. So anyway, we'll see. It's still in the play-testing stage. But apart from that, I've got guests coming, so I have to take all this down. This will become a guest room. So I have to use smaller games. I've got another treat under here. You can't really see that, but I have a print and play game from Fog of War LLC, which is a new company by John Farrar, who's produced 1866, was out by Compass Games, and what else has he got? It's the game Age of Bismarck, the Unifications of Italy and Germany, 1859 to 1871. Fog of War Productions, John B. Farrar. Now this is deliciously inexpensive at $15. Obviously, you have to print it out. and print out the components. It took me about a day to do all that, but I enjoy it because I listen to videos by wargamers like myself while I do it, and so it's a card-driven game. Maybe just make a stack of cards there. You have Prussians, the Austrians, the Sardinians, and the French, all vying for territory on the map, which I won't get out as I play it, of Europe, of those regions of Europe as well. Possibilities for Brits to come in as a minor power and the Russians to come in as a minor power. It looks great. It's one of those kind of like quite a free-flowing card-driven game, so it's sort of quite simple, but there's you've got political control and combat, and I've just played the first year, which is 7 cards for each player, and that was essentially lots of political control going out and some sort of threats and posturing. So yes, you pay prices for declaring war and stuff like that. A simple system, but lots of possibilities in it, and one of those where I'm a bit kind of like scratching my head, like, oh, what do I do? Because it's you have to activate your leaders so you can use the cards, for activation points or for events, and you activate a leader, he moves, and then then play goes to the next 3 players until it comes back to you, and you can do something else again with maybe another leader. So it's quite nerve-wracking moving around on the map. Anyway, we will look at that when I come to it.